just mentioning that improvisations, in a way, really helped your interpretation of other pieces, which I never thought about this, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's appearing perhaps to you very unusual that the teacher would worry about playing wrong, since it's the role of the student to worry that. And the teacher is to guide you to play it right. Mm. Therefore, you would think that when I play, as a performer, I cannot play wrong. Mm. But in fact, I fear that as much as when I'm a student, when I'm a performer. So as a teacher, I'm adamant. I know what to do to help you, to be confident. The right phrasing reads to the right fingering that I suggest to do if you regret or accept or do. But I know how to help you to be confident on stage so the note speaks out because of this or that. So I combine the technical aspects of helping the student with the musical necessity that I suggest to the student. But when I play by myself, a performance of a piece by another pianist, composer, or not pianist, just another piece, right? Not my work, I mean. I find myself to be not at all trying to play like a teacher proving it, because I've spent 7 hours in the day trying to show how to rightfully play certain things. I'm gonna have to apply them to myself when I play. As a matter of fact, when I recorded the four-hand CD with Yao Cheng in our hall of Gouvy, she was telling me, you don't play like you teach. And she was my student, and we were playing together four hands this recording, which I enjoyed so much doing. And I said to myself, yeah, I'm not the teacher now, I'm just trying to play it right. And I worry about playing it wrong. Notes, phrasings, many things. I doubt, by essence. It's like they say the best heroes are the ones who fear. I am therefore convinced because I doubt. And if you don't doubt and you don't fear, I think you're an idiot. Because then, in a way, there is no flavor to heroism if you don't fear. And there is no reaching the point if you don't doubt. And once you finish doubting, you deliver. And I find that if I improvise, let's say in Brahms style, which I deliberately don't think of, but I realize while I play that I'm in this musical universe. I'm not locked by it. I'm not afraid to get out of it. I'm not trying to stay in it. I'm not trying to imitate it. I'm just comfortable in this musical bath of Brahms. But I cannot do a wrong note, since it's a piece that doesn't exist by Brahms. Let's say I discovered a piece by Brahms that nobody has heard, and everybody recognizes it because it sounds like what usually Brahms sings melodically, whether some possibly with hemiolas, I give an example. Sorry. Obviously that is Brahms in the text. What if I improvise something? Sounds popish. But nevertheless, it has this kind of mood of it. And so what I do when I improvise is that I explore without fear of the wrong note, the wrong gesture musically, while enjoying being in this country of musical countries, if it could be. Brahms land.
Naoumoff land.
No. When I do that, I'm not in Naoumoff land, willingly. I'm Forêt land, or I could do... It sounds like early Forêt. But it can be seen from outside as an imitation, a provocation, perhaps a caricature. Perhaps it's meant to be serious, or perhaps it's meant to be, in fact, making fun of it. I think that it's in the eye of the beholder. So whoever listens to it chooses to say, nah. So they don't have to anyway. But what I'm trying to say is that when I play a piece of a composer in which style I have improvised, then I feel less fearful as a performer, not the teacher. During the performance, less vulnerable to the wrong note.
Because you're actually composing and interpreting an improvisation
In the same world, yeah.
In the same present.
So the thing is that the need or necessity of it is only determined by my will, because I want to just share with the audience online a different inner mood of mine through a musical idiom that inevitably whoever listens to it will say, this reminds me of this or that. But they say that anyway, for even a written piece. You'll never be Naoumoff fully. Perhaps you can hear, oh, certain things make a Naoumoff piece Naoumoff. And that is something that I'm very grateful that I've been given by intuition. I don't do it willingly.
You mean your style?
Well, I mean, the style is determined by...
Your traits.
Yeah, but this is not determined willingly so. Of course, if you write a minor sixth in D minor in Hemiola, does it always make it sound like a Brahms?
Yeah. Because then I was thinking...
It becomes at the surface.
Yeah, it's like they own that particular musical language.
But they do.
Yes.
But they do not the language, they do a particular ingredient. Or if you had a tool that, you do that in cadenzas in Mozart. So you have tools. So, of course, that doesn't make it Mozart. It just makes it that you use tools that Mozart has used. It's like reconstituting, as an archaeologist, a body out of bones, and you say, oh, this is how this ancient person looked. I reconstitute. But in fact, what you do is, while being in this musical universe of this given composer's world that you like to be in, because that's what you improvise for, you don't improvise something you don't like, then some points you bring out yourself too. And so traits of my music are often to play the extremes of the high and lowest register. Trait is to play a lot of seconds rather than thirds. I like to think that the dissonant seconds are thirds if you voice them. Compared to... So when I perform, I voice a lot, as you very well know. That is one of the things that appeals to me when I perform. So when I improvise or give an interpretation, I also voice. If I start 101, I also hear, and so I hear them all together. So of course it should go there because I know it is there. But I could do. And then instead of going with Beethoven does, I can do. Of course it'll be wrong because we know the right, since the score exists. But because I am liking to be in this world of his music, I bathe in it. I'm not afraid of doing a wrong note since I'm making it up, even within the musical world of a given composer with my personal, let's say, ingredients. So of course when I write something where it's supposed to be just mine, I still know that I borrow from musical languages of others. But I always think that when you listen to a music that is very famous, you never think it reminds you of another. It's always when you hear a piece less known that you start thinking, oh, this sounds like that. And once you said that, It's like saying you look like your dad or your mom, but then in fact you're you. And in fact, I think we all come as children in music from a tradition that we choose to cherish, to perhaps even reject or accept. Perhaps we're over-influenced by it, but then ultimately it's us. And I think that improvisation has helped me free myself from the fear of the wrong note while exploring their musical universe, expanding it even to a certain extent. It's like saying, I love you so much, I would like to stay longer in your world. But I haven't been everywhere in your world yet.
I cannot help but draw the comparison of something I've read. Is that another pianist who is very much, in a way, similar to you, Marc-Andre Hamelin. One interviewer asked him, does he do improvisation? And he said no. He said it's a completely different thinking and habit. But he composes and he plays the piano.
It's like harmony and keyboard harmony.
Yeah, but he does not, he composes quite a lot as well.
It's like writing, making a crossword puzzle or writing the crossword puzzle.
But he doesn't improvise. Then I'm not saying that it's...
But I think that he chooses not to now, but who knows? For instance, when I met him, I asked him to come and hear my students when he was in Bloomington, and he told me he doesn't teach because he doesn't believe in teaching. And I thought that was a provocative statement. And he told me that his teacher obliged him to play Cortot's fingerings, and that it didn't fit his fingers. And I said, I hope I don't impose to my students too much my fingerings, but inevitably you do when you teach, right? So perhaps he believes in teaching, but perhaps he wants to say that not. And perhaps he says he doesn't improvise, and perhaps he does. Anyway, it doesn't matter, it's his choice. I think he's a very creative pianist as it is. Just musician, perhaps not just pianist. I think when people start thinking that composition, improvisation, transcription are so different, which they are in part, but they're part of a whole, that then people are reduced to interpreter. Like, I'm a translator of Haydn. Like, as if Haydn needs me to translate him. Because inevitably, interpretation means translation, etymologically. And transcription is something you take to transpose from another idiom. So inevitably you lose or you gain something. So perhaps, you see, when I play the Mussorgsky pictures on the piano, because I wrote them for piano and orchestra, when I play them on the piano, which is their original form, I cannot not hear in my head the concerto that I composed, even if I don't try to play it on the piano alone. I try to keep the tracks. So I try to separate the interpretation from the transposition or the transcription, and of course from the improvisation. I don't think that improvisation should mix with interpretation. Even if in Baroque music is supposed to be a tradition to embellish second repeats with a different decoration. So if you do, you'll do. Obviously, it's a minor change that is almost unnoticeable. Or you do... So these are alternative decorations, but you don't rethink the piece.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something totally different, then you have to already have studied enough the templates of the others in order to do your own. And I find that you gave an example of Hamelin, who is a phenomenal musician, pianist. I think that inevitably, when we say somebody is a pianist, we reduce them, like they don't even play forte. That was a joke. But the point is that a pianist plays through the piano. A composer writes through the piano. And evocative landscapes, operas, symphonies, poetry, but through the instrument. Not only for the instrument, by essence it's for the instrument, but I think you evoke things beyond and through it. And this imagination should not be harnessed, it shouldn't be even shaped, you should let free. That's why I like when you say that my teaching helps to expand horizons.
My words is free up perspectives, but I also like your words of broadening horizon. You could put it this way.
Regardless which analogy you use, the point of the story is that you don't want to be feeling prisoner of the notation while you respect it. And that is a very important combination to have in mind.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give you license to be arrogant with a score, but it gives you the freedom to think about it freely.
It comes from true understanding and then penetrate through, and it becomes at the same time from a text and within you. So you improvise, you compose, and you perform at the same time.
In a way, you present your inner world of your inner culture through the piece you play.
Precisely. Shall we inevitably move on to the segment about teaching?